at a time.
Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty cool this week. Someone who has put some sweet threads on Dante and I's back over the past couple months. I know Dante's walked away with a few more shirts than I have, but nothing but praise for these guys who we're about to have on the podcast. A new brand of golf apparel who I'm sure is turning heads in the industry. If you guys haven't seen the new big signing, which I'm sure we'll get into, they've added some pretty good studs onto the roster as well over the last couple months. Happy to bring on Stephen Hoffman from Boston Scott Golf Apparel. Stephen, how are things these days, man?
Good to be here, buddy. I feel like you already know the story, but we haven't officially told it yet. You've been kind of tracking our progress over the last couple months since PGA show.
Boy, it's been exciting, man, just to see kind of the way you talked us through the vision you guys had and the way you just wanted to approach it kind of holistically and taking the right approach into building a golf brand from the ground up. I know our listeners, might know of you, might not, but for those who don't, where did it all start and how did that ground up mentality all begin for you guys?
Yeah, so it is pretty neat because when I talked to you in Florida, in Orlando, it was a vision and then just became a straight obsession for us to try to find the perfect fitting golf shirt. For me, this all started with, about 125 golf shirts in my closet that don't fit me right. Just commonly known issues in the golf industry right now that people aren't willing to stop and fix. And I know it doesn't make sense for a lot of big box companies to make a U-turn and revisit some of these areas, but we had a great opportunity to take as much time as we needed to really focus on key relief areas in a shirt so that it's wearable by as many recreational, mini tour. I leave out the pro golfers because, we tailor everything down to the half an inch with these guys so that it's perfect and they look real sharp on tour. But we kind of made it an obsession to try to fit 95% of golfers out there. We would love for 100%. That number is just very hard to reach. So
yeah, anytime you're dealing with clothing, I feel like 100% is near impossible. But talk us through those kind of main points where you felt like the most attention was spent at as far as designing that perfect golf shirt or golf clothes in general.
Yeah, let me give you a little bit of a background about how we came to exist, and then I'll jump into the design of the shirt and how we separate ourselves. So I have a little guy who's been in junior golf for 7 years now. His name's Boston Hoffman. So it was just a natural progression, our golf journey together, to name the business after him. Him and I kind of took this on as a hobby, and then set some goals and some milestones together. And he's still involved to this day. He designed shirts with me. It's pretty cool. But we found that in the junior golf world, there wasn't enough product for these juniors out there. When he would go and compete, playing tournaments, 15 to 20 tournaments a season, the kids have 5 different color Under Armour shirts to wear. And, nothing that really stands out or nothing they can call their own that shows their personality. And down to the same thing we deal with, nothing that fits right. They're short, they're wide, they're I understand, when you produce things in mass quantities, the idea is to, get it done and get it out there. But the kids suffered the most. So we kind of took this journey on together to, go after a golf shirt that, we didn't have to waver quality or fit or, it just works. Why can't it work? That was a simple question we kept asking ourselves. So we attacked the golf shirt, and I have a history in graphic design, web development, t-shirt design over the past 18 years now. So the creative side was there. We are not fashion designers by any means. We are just a dad and his son who figured, why can't we take on the world and make a polo shirt? So the first thing we did was we brought shirts out of my closet. I tried them on, and you're in a similar situation. You're tall and skinny though. See, I'm not as tall and skinny. I'm pretty average, mid-30s, and I have a little bit of a belly. So, finding a shirt that has a little bit more relief in the belly but doesn't give me that excess fabric all over was key. So the first place we started was the armpits of the shirt. The armpits of the shirt control a lot of the shirt, from the chest, the top of the shoulder, to the bottom of the armpit, to the outside of the bottom of the sleeve. This one area controls, a lot of the issues that we face in the industry right now. When you're golfing, and you start to sweat, you're constantly pulling up. Your shirts get stuck on your arms, right? When you're putting, when you're about to tee off, constantly getting stuck on that bicep. Do you have that problem?
My golf coach always used to know when it was hot out because he could see me from a mile away, grabbing my shoulders, pulling the sleeves, because we had the one size fit all sort of deal with the golf team. And, we never had the I think, best fitting polos during my college experience. But yeah, it was just a habit for me. If I wasn't pulling up my sleeves, something felt wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And it became a natural habit. It actually became something you're used to seeing in golf. But, you know, why? Why? We just another simple question. Why do we have to deal with it? Why do we have to deal with it? So what we did was we give the player or whoever's wearing it, because our polos are worn on and off the course, but we give you more relief in the armpit of the shirt, and then we angle cut our sleeves so that they lay nice on the bicep and slide up and down with your core movements. We found that if we cut it at the right angle and we give enough relief in the chest and the armpit, that's going to move very well with your bicep and the rest of your body. And that just came down to simple math. This is how it should fit somebody. This doesn't work. This does. Here's how we're going to go about it. We need a little trial and error. And then from there, we realized that if we tailor fit a shirt, which means taking it in all around the front, the sides, and the back, that's when you get that kind of aggressive, slim fit look that, will fit some, but most don't feel comfortable in. So we wanted to attack a way to give a nice trim fit, tapered fit look with the relief areas that, we really wanted to go after. So from the side of our shirt, we only tapered the sides of our shirt a half an inch down to the waist, and we tailored it around the waistband. So what this does is it actually takes all that excess fabric. What's the first point of failure in your shirt? You're tucking in your shirt. You're playing around a golf. How many times do you have to tuck in the front? You're always digging in the back.
Usually 99% of my rounds, minus my Boston Scott shirt, I'm always tucking in, and I'm fiddling with the belt buckle because the shirt wants to get stuck in the belt buckle. It's a little bit of a mess.
So what we ended up doing was, with that tapered fit, that half an inch V cut down to the waist and tailoring it, it gives a nice crisp tuck line all the way around the belt line. And where you would have that excess fabric in the back, it has to go somewhere. It has to migrate somewhere. On our shirts, it migrates to the front. And because that's the easiest place to control a tuck, is in the front near the belt buckle.
Well, it's funny you say that. And it's like, I think too, maybe it's just me and kind of recognizing what you guys have, but like along with that, like front kind of not being a problem with your shirt as it is with other golf shirts, I feel like the fabric a little bit is just different than most other golf shirts. And I know we've had this conversation kind of, off the podcast of just how many times it took you guys to get to kind of the right fabric combination, because it's such a, like you said, trial and error of just trying to get it right. But what was that process like for you guys? And where do you feel like, you guys have kind of ended up with that?
I would say 1,000 Google searches later and 200 sample shirts. No, we messed a lot with fabric weight at first, and we wanted to be able to guarantee a fit and feel. So the only way to do that was to find the perfect fabric in our eyes and stick to it. That way we can guarantee the same fit throughout every single design we put out. So when we were messing with the weights, if it's too light, then you really get into, quick wear down of the shirt. And as you add different characteristics to the shirt, you're really beating up the fabric. And a lot of stuff's visible through a lighter shirt. You're going to see, anything from chest hair on a guy to, the supports that you might put into your placket are going to shine right through. So we ended up at it's 200 GSM fabric weight, which is comparable to more of your premium quality golf shirts that are out there on the market. But what we ended up doing was sublimating all of our patterns onto the shirt so that it left a nice pressed, silky, smooth feeling. So that shirt really feels like a lightweight performance shirt. and then the characteristics we put into the actual yarn allow it to be antimicrobial, moisture wicking, UPF 50, all the characteristics that you expect from a golf shirt.
Yeah, I have to say, and especially through this, kind of late June, early July heat, it's kind of been a go-to shirt for me. And I'm not saying it's just pump your enthusiasm here. It's honestly been like time and time again. It's like, wow, it's freaking hot again. What do I want to wear? And like I pull out the Puma shirt, and then I pull out like the Nike shirt, and I'm just like, man, I tell you what, like last time I wore that Boston Scott shirt outside in the heat, there was no better feel. And I think it breathes well. It just feels good. It's never getting stuck on me. You know how like a lot of shirts, I feel like they get sticky because they're almost too light. And for me, it's been a really cool kind of process to narrow it down to it's become one of the go-tos when it's really, really hot out.
Yeah, and that was the first question and concern, because we have a lot of supporters in the Texas area, and right now it's blazing heat in Texas, and it's funny because the pro that we weren't naming in the beginning, Scott Piercy, is one of his first tournaments back was at Colonial, and it was hot. It was ungodly hot, and the first thing he said was, "These shirts better perform, my man." He's like, "I love them. They fit me. They fit me great. I'm all in, but it's going to be hot. Please let these shirts perform." And he texted me that day and called his agent as well and just said, this got me through it, man. They felt great. I was comfortable. I was cool. I wasn't sweating through my shirt. I couldn't even see a stain on my shirt. And it was 95 to 100 degrees out. So that was pretty rewarding to hear.
Yeah, when you guys get a name like that on tour and get put through the ringer per se that quickly, I'm sure you guys, as confident as you can be in a shirt, we're still holding your breath a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who don't know Scott Piercy, he's a very well-dressed man. He's a fashionista in his own mind, and he's very critical of how things fit. And when we linked up with him initially, the fit and feel was key for him, and it kind of sold him on us being his next brand. But then we had to fine tune and get into his actual measurements and sizes, and it's only gotten better from there. But yeah, that was trial by fire. It was pretty crazy.
And it's funny. I always remember Scott Piercy just from the couple tour events I went to, just being like the man in just white and black or like very subtle colors. I know you guys have some, pretty eccentric prints, pretty, wild prints at times. Was there any conversation between him to like, hey guys, like I'm just going to wear the toned down stuff, or has he been open to that discussion of, all right, I'll start trying these prints. I'll start trying to maybe break out of the box of what I'm used to being, dressed in inside the ropes.
He's going to wear everything. No,
I love it.
So we sent him some shirts out. Let me tell you a little bit about how Scott and I kind of linked up and how this natural progression came about. And then you'll understand the position we're all in. So during COVID, a lot of us were locked down and we were quarantined. We were in our house. Some people messaged me and said, you and Scott would really sync up, some mutual friends. You should reach out. So I reached out, and to tell you the truth, we talked about, kids and life and, what's going on in the world and anything but golf for quite a while. And then there was this natural progression to get him some gear. And during that, I got to know him pretty well and his personality. And, you think these tour guys are just, they go out with all this confidence and they shoot birdie after birdie after birdie. But Scott's a very quiet, like reserved man, and has a tremendous personality. And you don't see that. It doesn't. And you said, he wears black and white. He seems so simple. He's reserved, but yet complex. It was really cool to learn, a lot about him. And that gave me a lot of design inspiration as well, because as we're locked down, what else are you going to do? So a lot of our stuff that was designed had a lot of his influence and, catered to some new ideas he wanted to come up with, and kind of telling a little bit of a story of the evolution of bringing Scott Piercy on through design. Some stuff he liked over the years, where he wanted to go, and then, of course, mixing in some black and white. So it's been a great, organic progression, and there's big things to come.
I'm really excited to hear that. And, just excited for you guys to finally be, not only inside the ropes, but inside the ropes with a guy who's had a long history of being one of the steady guys out there. You kind of always see his name out there. You always seeing him, whether it's in majors, just kind of, not go out and win him, but just always contend and always be there. It's always a name that just seems to pop up time and time again. So something to be said about him being a timeless name out there, and you guys kind of, I think, as it's just when you look at your guys' logo, when you look at the products you guys have in your, arsenal right now, it just kind of, it syncs up with being timeless. I think you guys are, obviously around to stay for a very, very long time. What was that discussion like between, I think, you and Scott, and just during those COVID times? Obviously you said you got to know him kind of away from golf, which is really neat. And I think, kind of just cements home the fact of like, yeah, these guys are human. Like, we see him inside the ropes and we see him on TV, and like, how well do we really know these guys? We think they're machines sometimes. They play so well, and,
Yeah.
and what has it been like since he's been back out there, kind of repping the gear? What are those design, conversations like? What is he looking forward to see from you guys in the future that maybe you can let us in on?
So, just to start about the conversation, COVID conversation is pretty boring. So, anywhere from steak or chicken tacos to what the kids are doing for math homework, and the fact that neither one of us can figure it out. And we consider ourselves pretty smart, but the new math is beyond us.
Something about Common Core, man. I just do not get it.
So no, but yeah, the conversation has progressed as he can kind of see our design abilities. He'll suggest mixing in some colors to current designs, and what he thinks could match multiple colors of pants and bring it together and tie it in as an outfit. And supporting him on tour, his wish list gets made. We like to get him prototypes out as soon as possible, wear them, snap some photos, see him playing in it. It really brings it all together to see if we could see, people wearing this on their local courses, or, some stuff's made for TV, and some stuff's made to go out and play on a Saturday in. And, it's a tough balance, but yeah, we work with him to, he actually brings me away from the color navy is what he does, because that's if you look in my closet, it's whites, grays, and navies, and my design eye tends to float towards that.
Hey,
So,
there's nothing wrong with a little navy in life. I know Dante just joining us here. He can talk about kind of that white and navy floral print that he has. And I must say, I think he gets compliments on it everywhere he goes, just kind of being really unique and a fresh new pattern on the scene.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yes,
we
Word.
can hear you, buddy.
Nice. Sometimes we have audio issues when I get in, but no, that's like one of my favorite shirts. And when I step onto the course, I remember I was playing with the Dalton Nose, Andy K, the one day, and he turned and looked at me and goes, dude, it's a really nice shirt. Kind of gave it a little pop the collar esque and said Boston Scott and walked away.
First off, I love how you entered this call. You just said word and just jumped right into it.
Yes, sir.
You don't mess around.
Nope.
Little history on that floral design. So that was designed by my son.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we travel out to Kentucky to do some lessons with Mike Thomas, and he's a big Justin Thomas fan. And Justin wears this polo shirt that's I think he wore it a couple of years ago, but it was a dark polo shirt, had some flowers on it. And my son came home and said, Dad, I have to have that. I need to have that. And it was during the time that we were figuring out the fit and making some samples. And I said, all right, well, you're going to learn how to turn on a computer, and then you're going to learn how to design a polo shirt. So let's go for it, kid. And it was pretty cool. We drew something up. We turned it into a vector. We added some color to it. We made a seamless pattern. We went through the whole process, him and I, just designing a shirt from scratch. And that was the first shirt I ever made, that floral design. So that one hits kind of close to home. And Boston and I both wear it probably once a week.
Well, that's really cool. For those who aren't familiar with the Boston Scott design we're talking about, it's called the Forget Me Not 4-button golf shirt. You can find that at bostonscottgolf.com under the men's collection. It's really neat, and I like to see how you guys are kind of branching out too. From what I see and what I'm understanding, your first designs were kind of that 4-button style, kind of like what I'm wearing now with the crimson shirt. You guys have since branched out. Like you said, you're doing pants. You've also done a 2-button, kind of the looper series, and you guys have even gotten into pullovers. What was that like expanding? And I feel like, at least from my side of things, you guys were branching out into unknown territory with those pullovers as well. Like, how has that been to kind of figure it out as you go in those new sides of apparel that you really haven't been in for that long?
It's been a natural progression, and when you don't offer a product and you're thinking about going through R&D and producing something, you have nothing but time. When you're not known for something in the industry yet and you want to be known, you have to have an entry in. So we have to fix at least 1 or 2 common issues with a piece or article of clothing. We're not just going to copycat something. And then we're going to run it through its paces with prototyping and putting it on players, and really get a lot of quality feedback. Our whole goal here is to fix something with each article of clothing we put out. And there's a lot of common issues that we deal with on a daily basis. I know I'm like beating a dead horse here, but I don't know much. Is that politically correct to say on your podcast?
Hey, you know what? If it isn't, I don't want to be PC. It drives home the point. We get it.
So, but there's a lot of why nots? Why do the sleeves have to be this long and the waist this short? Why doesn't it have a banded waist? Why doesn't it? And we just bring this stuff to life, and we run it through the steps and make sure that it is changing something and finding a need in the industry, and then we release it. For example, our pants that are coming out have a lot of tech in them. We linked up with a company called Burr, which is actually a cooling fabric. It'll cool to the skin up to 3 degrees. It has what's called a QMax score, and that's how they measure that cooling feeling. It's this proprietary blend that's mixed into the PVC that's used to make the yarn that makes our fabric. So we linked up with them on a proprietary blend that we're using in our pants. So we were able to use a little bit heavier weight of pant that was going to be nice quality feel that could be worn out, to dinner, to the bar, on the golf course, but something that could go from the course to the clubhouse and not be a summer weight or have to switch pants. And this cooling technology really gets us there. And then we concentrated on the fit as well. But
that's really exciting. That's something that I feel like you guys have done from the start, has been trying to innovate in any way possible. And Dante and I talk about this all the time. The same question you just proposed. Why does it have to be that way? I think industry is all the same, whether it's golf, whether it's, construction, whether it is, whatever industry, kind of gets stuck in the mentality sometimes of, well, we've always done it that way. That's what it is. And it's nice to see you guys and a few other companies in different, aspects of the golf game kind of pushing that and saying, well, no, really, why? Why do we do it that way? And maybe we should do a little something different. And I think that's right where you guys have been able to fit in and fit in well.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's hard to stop a train. We have people in the industry like Peter Millar who have shaped and are really powerhouses in this industry. We respect them. We look up to them. You just don't poke the bear. It's just not what you do. And there's no reason for them to make a U-turn and work on the armpits of their shirts. It just doesn't make sense. So there was definitely a space for us. For a long time, people concentrated on patterns and not fit. And as we circle back around, we're at the forefront of it. So we came in at a great time. And during these COVID times, it was really a crazy time because everybody was such an unknown, and you didn't know what was going to happen with business, and business wasn't consistent. And when China shut down, is where we manufacture, we actually had the opportunity. Their only way to make money over there with production shutdown was to broker fabric, because they were still able to ship in fabric from Taiwan. So we used that as an opportunity to get fabric at a third of the cost. And we put out 36 new designs over COVID.
Wow.
So we did production on 36 new designs. So as you see, designs are going to start strategically coming up on the site. They're all available wholesale right now. So there's 52 designs total. But, every couple of weeks, you're going to see some new stuff dropping. And it's, we were busy at work while we were shut down. And then once the floodgates opened and shipping was able to continue across the borders, we had a tremendous tailwind behind us because you know how it is. We all, if we can't golf and we're looking out the window and it's sunny, what's the first thing you do? What can I Google that's associated with golf? I folded my laundry multiple times so I could just touch my golf shirts. It was something to do with golf. And so COVID actually, it's a horrible thing, but we got a lot of work done during that time. We really hunkered down and concentrated on a plan and focused on design. And we put together a great group. We started to build a board of directors and really pulled the business together. So,
it is, without being said, obviously COVID is a horrible thing that's, I believe, kind of still going on as we speak, but a lot of businesses did kind of see that opportunity. If you were smart, if you were savvy enough, if you were, passionate and hardworking enough to sit down and say, you know what, here's our chance to maybe regroup and really hammer down. And it's exciting to see you guys have done that. And 50 some new designs. I might be refreshing the Boston Scott, golf.com every couple hours just to see what else comes out. Cause that's exciting news from you guys.
So it's funny that you just kind of broke that up when you said it, bostonscottgolf.com. Cause coming up shortly, there's going to be an editorial piece released on golf.com regarding us, our design, and Scott Piercy and kind of his journey on the tour. So keep an eye out for that. I'll shoot that link over to you guys when it's available.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I know you got to get going and, as you said earlier, get back to work. You got some more designs cooking in the oven, I imagine. So, man, that's exciting to hear. And just, from Dante and I both, from when we met you down at the PGA show to now, it seems like things are just, growing tenfold, and we couldn't be happier. Phenomenal guy, Stephen Hoffman, guys. So bostonscottgolf.com. You guys can check him out there, and obviously check out that article on golf.com when it comes out with Boston Scott and Scott Piercy and Scott Piercy's journey through the game. So Stephen, thank you for joining us, man. Is there anywhere else you'd like the people to follow you, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or any of that type?
No, Boston Scott Golf on Instagram, and then bostonscottgolf.com. That'll keep you up to date. Sign up for a newsletter. We send out some good stuff, some fun stuff. So thanks for having me, guys. We got to get out on the golf course soon, and let's do a part 2 when I have a little more time.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it, and keep on hitting the ground hard, man.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, that was Stephen Hoffman from Boston Scott Golf. Dante, we had a really cool time with them down in the PGA show. For those who maybe have joined us since the PGA show when we were down there, we got to play golf. We got to play 18 holes with the guys from Boston Scott, Steve, and also his business partner down there. It was just fun, man. We ended up playing behind this really slow group, so we had 5.5, almost 6 hours with those dudes down there. Went to eat dinner with them and stuff. They're just good Philly boys at the end of the day who like he said in the interview, kind of stumbled upon a golf brand via Boston, Steven's son, and his need for wanting to look cool on a golf course and play well. So I really do love their hashtag casual great golf. I've worn this to the office when I worked an office job, and I've worn it to the golf course. I've worn it out to have beers with my buddies. They wear well, whether tucked in, not tucked in, and they're a really comfortable shirt. One thing we didn't talk about in that interview, which I want to get at, is this freaking collar, man. I think it's the best collar in golf.
Dude, collars are probably my first look at a shirt. Obviously fit, but it's got to come to the collar. You got to have, and he explained it too. And that's one of the things I know I jumped in a little late, but one of the things that I don't know if you guys got into in the first half, But when we were down there at the PGA and he was explaining how they got that collar like so perfectly, like to sit right, and the materials and the quality that goes in, there's so much tech behind clothing. It blows my mind. Like I never would have thought of half the stuff that he was explaining on different threads.
Dude, it's funny because
moisture,
we got into it a little bit, but not anywhere near as deep as we got into it when we were down at the PGA show. And it amazes me. And he quoted it. It was over 200 Google searches is what he said to get it just right. And it is crazy. You think about, well, obviously Peter Millar fits different than like, your Pumas and your Nikes. Nike's got their typical blend, and Under Armour had their typical blend. And, each brand has their certain blend, but it's like, how do they get there? And basically at the end of the day, it's all about just mixing different fabrics to get that right tactile feel. So it feels good in your skin, yet performs the same way. And it's an amazing science that before that, I really didn't think about it too much, but now, after, really diving into it with Stephen Hoffman and just kind of talking through everything, dude, I think about it every time I put a shirt on. Like, oh, I wonder what their blend is. Like, what makes this feel so different than everybody else? And it's a science, man, that I give all kinds of kudos to, fashion designers, any kind of clothing designer, man. I give all the kudos to them figuring that out.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just, yeah, I mean, you would think I would just go, yeah, cool shirt, fits, it's comfortable. Now there's way more behind the scenes that go into it. And like you said, like the collar, what he was saying too, is they made it lighter by layering it in certain different ways and areas, but in order to keep that shape, because sometimes you'll get a golf shirt and everybody likes to keep the top button on loose, and no one likes to Bubba Watson it really, 4 straight. But the collar tends to just like fold and get floppy. This one just tends to stay up the entire time.
Yeah.
And collars are a big important. I mean, me, I've talked about stuff a lot of time when it comes to clothes and it's fitting my body. It's difficult. I'm very picky when it comes to when I find a shirt, when I find a pair of jeans, when I find a pair of shoes. I mean, you name it. Once I find a specific model or type of hat or whatever, I'm sticking with that until it's discontinued, because I'm so picky and it's so difficult to find stuff that fits my frame. This shirt, thick as the shirt. I mean,
it's as simple as that. I think it's seriously as simple as that. I'm excited to see them continuously grow. It's shocking, but not shocking to me. The success they're having already. They're great guys with a humble beginning, and they from the start believed in their product, and that's the biggest thing. Is they believed and they hustled for it. They absolutely are grinders. It's like he said, how many people when we were all shut down and kind of limited found ways to actually not even double down, but I'd say like go tenfold on their inventory and say, here's where we capitalize, here's where we build. And just as designers to come up with 50 more designs in a, maybe 2-month period, that's a lot. And I guarantee you for those 50 designs that they're putting out, there's probably 500 other designs that they scrapped, that they didn't like, that there was just, that kind of, as he talked to it too as well, that little bit of, trial and error. Any design, you never get it the first time around. And especially when you're dealing with colors, patterns, to get it all mixed and matched to be the right one that you say, yep, that's it. We're going to send it, to actual production. Those 50 designs are not the only 50 designs they worked on. And that just speaks to how hard those guys are working behind the scenes.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, we've experienced it between ours with the Tyler golf bags and with coming up with the designs on all of our stuff. I mean, we're back and forth, left and right with each other. It's like, well, let me see. How about this? No, I was actually thinking this. Okay, hold on. How about this? And it just keeps going back and forth until we kind of find a light bulb goes off, and that's it.
It's awesome, man. And I'm excited to see what those guys do, 2021, 2022. I'm going to say it right now. They will have one hell of a stable when it comes to guys wearing their apparel. I'm just, putting it out there right now. Guys will put on the Boston Scott shirts. Guys, I'm sure, as he was talking about with the Burr technology and the pants, guys will wear the pants. It will become the Peter Millar, the Ralph Lauren's. They will become a powerhouse. It's just a matter of time, and I'm excited to watch that progression happen. Let's get into to happening news around the world of golf right now. Some big kind of, I feel like from you and I expected, and from the players, I bet expected news. President's Cup, Ryder Cup, push back a year. We all agree, like no brainer. I feel like
no brainer. I mean, we said it before. We need to cut our losses with the finances. We're all taking a hit. Throw that out the window. Let's be safe. I mean, as you can see, PGA's taken the most precautions in order to continue having live sport going on. I mean, that's one of the very few sports that are actually being able to pick up where they left off and continue their season. And, if you got to do without fans, you got to do without fans. And I said it before, just cut the fans until, this is hopefully over or into next year, and then we'll bring it back. And President's Cup, the Ryder Cup, those are for the fans. And the players say it all the time.
If you can't pack thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, elbow to elbow, chanting whatever country they're representing, chanting their anthems, chanting their chants, it ain't the same. It ain't worth having.
No.
Paris had, I believe, 20, 30,000 around the first tee.
Dude, that
at the last
stadium
Ryder Cup
for the first tee was insane. Imagine being your first time going to the Ryder Cup. Your nerves are kicking because it's your first Ryder Cup. And then you look back and it's almost I guess you could say like a soccer field or upwards to like football field, like the first section of height and seats. And you look back.
Tangent for a second. And not only if those guys were first time Ryder Cuppers, did it suck? They had to hit an iron off that first tee in Paris. That wasn't a driver. So you can't just get all hyped and let one loose. You have to not shank like a driving iron at that point.
Yeah,
it was that first tee was something to be reckoned with, man.
Yeah, you can get away with the miss hit on a driver pretty easily, but man, you toe or heel one on an iron off the first tee. It's that can get you mentally too, because hey, we've all been down there, and that can just set up to now you're just freaking out like, oh boy, am I going to do this the rest of the round? But
I can only say that from even when we interviewed Chip Beck and he was talking about Whistling Straits and just kind of the people we've had in the industry talking about Whistling Straits, that course is going to show out for the Ryder Cup when they have it next year. I have no doubt about it. And not only give those guys a whole other year to prep for a Ryder Cup, I guarantee you that setup, that first tee is going to be just as rowdy as what it was in Paris. Because Paris, let's be honest, set the bar. There was no first tee that size in the Ryder Cup before Paris. And I'm hoping that sets the bar for a really, really rowdy atmosphere in Ryder Cups moving forward.
I mean, I agree. And then thinking kind of future, you can pack even more fans if you build bigger stands. I mean,
Field of Dreams.
Thinking about having
build it, they shall come.
Football-like stadium section seats throughout holes, and you get people that say, all right, so say you decide to do that, and you can then charge, like make those seats actually like paid, like assigned seats. Like you pay for, I'm going to be on the 5th hole, and I'm going to be 4th row, 5th seat, and you pay for that. That's like extra upcharge. And then you can get like walking passes. You can double, almost triple the size of patrons. And
the only problem I will say is usually on like those long stretch of holes, and I'm just playing devil's advocate just to play devil's advocate, but a lot of those long stretches are either filled with like general admission, food and beverage, or like the suites. So like you have like the Buick suite or like the all-inclusive this or the all-inclusive that. Do I think it's possible? Would it be awesome? Yes. Do I think it should happen at every event? No. I think it's special to the Ryder Cup, President's Cup, like, actual, one team versus another team. I don't think you can have that at like
No.
what we just had, the Rocket Mortgage. You can't have that at the Rocket Mortgage.
No, this would be I would say, this President's and Ryder Cup events and like the Solheim
And
events.
let's throw it out there, whether you can make noise or not, it could probably happen at the Masters if they wanted to make it happen too, as coveted as those tickets are.
Probably, but I think Augusta probably said, we're going to limit to the amount of people that come on to this.
Augusta would be the sick bastards to make the stands that you're talking about look like pine trees. So it's still Georgia pines in every photo op possible. They'd tell all the fans that are sitting in these seats to wear all camo, paint face only if you want to sit there. And they'd find a way to make it still look like azaleas and Georgia pines, even though it's like 30,000 strong going down a fairway.
Yeah, they'll do something crazy. I mean, it's the Masters. It's Augusta. They live for it. But, yeah, and even the players say it, that like the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup is – we only like it because the fans get us going. Like they get the juices.
Can you imagine looking back on like the Rory McIlroy, Patrick Reed kind of duel they had, and imagine it without any fans? No chance. No chance.
Ian Poulter pounding his chest to nobody.
That would be – I'd honestly love someone to go back, and I might just do it just for the hell of it, just to go back and take all sound except the shot noise out of a Ryder Cup coverage and see what it sounds like.
Take the people out. See if you can do that.
Take the crowd noise out, take the people out, and see what a Ryder Cup looks like, because I guarantee you won't watch it for very long.
Yeah, those are kind of like the fan-only events that are needed.
Oh,
so
100%.
They have to postpone it. Just postpone it. See if you can slip in just some other like lower end. I wouldn't say lower end, but just another like on the schedule PGA event if they can host it. Like throw one of them in there, and then allow them the players to play, get points or whatever they want to do, and then get viewership back on TV, just so we don't have to miss a week of live sports because there really isn't much to watch. But hey, golf's still going.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of golf still going, everyone has talked about the PGA Tour making its return. The LPGA is set to come back here soon, and it's really interesting. I was reading here just from a Golf Channel article. They had their LPGA kind of virtual meeting. Obviously not bringing everyone together since COVID and everything. They're trying to stay away from personal, big groups if at all possible. But it's really neat to see not only the PGA Tour but the LPGA stepping up as well. I think they're realizing that COVID is a real thing, and people are, unfortunately getting it, whether they're, putting themselves in a situation or not. They're giving these players kind of like $5,000 if they test positive to take the week off, which is really nice, and a little bit of security. It's like, all right, we understand we are technically your employer. And, if you would have missed the cut or not this week, you were planning on, making a livelihood out of our events. So it's nice to see both the LPGA and the PGA Tour having these protocols in place where if you get COVID, you're not running dry, and it's not, kind of taking away your livelihood per se, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, this is the women's jobs. This is the men's jobs. It's their full-time job. So it's nice to see, if they do happen to test positive, that they're kind of taking care of their players. Now, they are getting started. Like I said, the LPGA is getting started in Ohio at the Drive On Championship at the end of July. So they still have a little ways to go till they get back up and running, but it's not too far away. And I'll be honest, I miss seeing the battles of like Lexi Thompson, Nelly Korda, just all of those ladies out there. I do miss watching a little bit of LPGA Tour golf too. I'm not going to lie. Yeah,
I can agree most. And a lot of articles even say it. The average golfer, the LPGA hits it as long as your average male golfer, if not longer. So you can actually learn more from them than you can from watching the pros bomb at 350 down the middle of the fairway.
Oh, 100%. Now, I will say, and it's really interesting because this just came out this week too. There's been a ton of golf news out this week, which has really been cool to see. Golf's been kind of the headliner. The Women's British Open is actually back on for
Yeah, I
this year.
saw that.
They're having it, and it kind of blew my mind, and in the best way possible, because we talked a couple months ago when this all first started. The Masters rescheduled, but they didn't reschedule the AWNA, the women's amateur event at Augusta. They never rescheduled it, and we were kind of talking about, like, all right, well, if you're talking about equality at the Masters, you reschedule both. You don't reschedule one. And in retrospect, the Women's British Open, the British Open per se, has kind of done a flip-flop. They haven't rescheduled the men's. The men's is still canceled, but they've rescheduled the women's. So it's really interesting how that worked, and I love to see it. Basically, they're talking about having what they call a biosecure zone at Royal Troon. Players, caddies, media will be tested, actually required to be in Scotland 14 days in advance of the championship to make sure they're A, negative, B, if they are positive, have the time to get a second and a third test. So maybe that first test was false positive. They have 14 days to quarantine, lose their symptoms, and test negative again. So I kind of like the way they're doing it. They're giving everyone a chance to kind of kick this thing, per se.
Yeah,
and I like it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it too. I mean, it's like, okay, you're positive, no symptoms, see what happens, give yourself, again, 14 days, test again, nothing happens, you're in. So it almost gives them an opportunity to say, all right, well, I spent all this money to travel here. I don't want to lose out on that.
Yep.
I mean, I know you're saying they're paying whatever, but I mean, if you put that, I mean, it will just kind of almost, I don't know if it takes like $5,000 to get to Scotland, but it could, or to Arizona, Scottsdale, but I mean, if you got people coming overseas, it may. So, it can balance out, but then, okay, cool. You can actually play. Now you can actually go out and try and make some more money to actually make that trip worthwhile.
Now,
so, kudos to them.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I love it. They're really, you can tell they are really working hard to make this happen for ladies. And something else I saw. So the week after they open, July 31st through to August 2nd, the week after that, it's the Marathon Classic. The Marathon Classic is set to be the first event, both men and women, that are allowing pro-ams to resume. The LPGA makes a lot of money out of their pro-ams because they sell these spots out to the AMs to play with a pro for the day, whether it's big businesses like BMW, whoever paying for these spots to, play with these pros. They make a lot of money on the LPGA, and that's kind of their vital, they said, kind of equal to the fans, they called it, was their pro-ams. And it's going to be interesting. They said they have total testing protocols in place, similar to what they're doing at the Open. They're going to test every pro-am participant 14 days prior. If yada yada, if they have the negatives or the positives, they're going to let them quarantine, whatever. I never knew that. I never knew that the LPGA, was so crucial to their pro-ams. And I find that really cool because if you think about it, you always talk about, like, well, who's your dream foursome? No offense to the ladies, but the dream foursome never includes a lady golfer. Like, it's always like, Jack, Arnie, Tiger. All right, Gary Player, Arnie, Seve. Like, whatever it is, it's never like, Annika Sorenstam, Lexi Thompson, Nelly Korda. Like, you just don't think of that. So it's like, it's cool to me to see that those kind of pro-ams where people want to pay for those spots to play with these lady pros is kind of thriving and kind of like a crucial part of the LPGA Tour.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was that big. I knew they had more pro-ams from, like, kind of word of mouth. So I knew that was there, but I didn't know this was just kind of crucial to their brand, the LPGA, which is, they're not going, like we just said, they're not doing, well, this is what everybody does. This is what everybody used to do. And kind of that mentality, they're like, you know what? We're going to take what's out there and we're going to change it, and we're going to do our own thing
Mm-hmm.
and branch off from that. So again, that's awesome to see. I mean, can I play?
Yeah, right. Can maybe enjoy the walk or join one of those pro-ams, man.
Any LPGA players out there listening that want to, you need a, Dalton and I to come out and come play. I mean, I'm in.
There definitely wouldn't be a turn down. I can tell you
No.
that. We would definitely show up. We would be punctual. We'll be on time. And I think we'd pass our test too. So,
I think so.
There's that. Yeah. So last but not least, we have the Muirfield Village coming out to play with no fans this week, as we talked about on our last episode. Jack's Place seems to always deliver on a Sunday afternoon. There's always a dramatic finish. I'm going to be interested to see this time around how dramatic it is without fans. There is something to be said, and we've talked about it, how, the lack of fans really hasn't diminished the viewership from a TV atmosphere. Like, I think it's been just as good TV-wise without fans as it usually is with fans. I think the drama was there last week with Bryson and Matt Wolff coming down the stretch, and Bryson kind of playing his ass off on the back nine, shooting 7 under on a Sunday. That's playing your ball off. So I think, stuff like that, if there's good golf being played, I'm not missing the fans from a viewership standpoint.
No, and I think from a viewership standpoint, the drama, the excitement, the energy that you get to see when you're watching it on TV, when fans are there, even though the fans aren't there, it's still there because it's all done from our fingers on Twitter. I mean, if you have your phone open on Twitter and you're watching, golf and it's coming down the stretch,
mm-hmm.
and it's going wire to wire, like you said, you got Matt Wolff, you got Bryson bombing balls down the middle, just like swinging, trying to hit 200 miles per hour. You got Matt Wolff swing. I mean, you go on Twitter, you're getting that fan base. It's just a different viewership. You're reading it rather than hearing it. So you can kind of imagine the roars going left and right, because, I mean, all right, imagine like Tiger sinking a putt to get himself back, to tied for first. You're going to see that on Twitter, and it's just going to see like 50,000 tweets just immediately. Yo, Tiger's like, you're going to hear that roar in your head. So I think 100%. It's still there.
Yeah, I think, and especially, quote unquote seasoned golf fans are going to hear that roar. Maybe new golf fans, if they're watching it for the first time, are going to be like, well, that was kind of anticlimactic. But if you're looking at, like you said, golf Twitter, if you're tuned in to golf as a sport already, I think it's just kind of business as usual from a viewership standpoint. So excited to see it. I feel like some big name, whether it's Hideki, whether it's Tiger, who, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's playing this week for a first time in a long time.
No,
Jack's tournament.
Yeah, you would have known if 2 weeks ago if Tiger was playing.
100%. They
haven't said his name in months.
Which I'll be 100% honest with you, and I said it last. Week. We'll see him at the Masters with all the COVID stuff, with the spikes, with this, with that. We'll see him at the Masters.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a when's the PGA rescheduled for, or U.S. Open? We'll see him at the requote. We'll see him at the majors. We'll see him at the majors, and he'll be on his private yacht, and he'll have a private shuttle from him to his private yacht to the tee to the 18th green, to the shuttle, to the yacht, to the tee, to the 18th green, to the shuttle, to the yacht, and there is Tiger's schedule for every major this year.
Oh yeah, he's going in, playing his round, and getting the hell out of there.
Absolutely. All right. Hashtag Tiger Bubble 2020.
Yeah, right.
Hashtag Tiger Bubble.
Facts.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, you have some golf to be figured out with all the shafts and stuff that you got going on. I got my member guest this week. Excited to do it, guys. Tune in. I'll be going live from whatever I can from the Ocean City Country Club member guest, and follow us along at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Instagram, at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Twitter, and Dante's got something to say.
No, I'll show you guys me and Big John playing with the Glover Park boys on Saturday. So hopefully
Yeah,
we get
man.
the W.
Excited to see you guys
that.
you guys are out at Ravenclaw, right?
Ravenclaw. That course, I'm reading the reviews on it. I'm trying to do my homework before. Never played it. It seems like it's a placement course from the looks of it, and I know John can hit the long ball, so I'm gonna take his driver out of the bag, and we're gonna keep it in the car.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it, guys. If you guys want to check out that episode with Glover Park Tour, go on Spotify or iTunes and check that out. We had kind of a full in-depth interview with those guys, what they do, how it came to be, and how it's really thriving over the last couple seasons here. And, Dante played in one, and he's in the mix again this weekend. Just a really cool, like-minded group of guys there as well at the Glover Park Tour that are just looking to grow the game for the everyday golfer. And excited to see how Dante's experience goes again this weekend. So, guys, like I said, at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Instagram and Twitter, www.enjoythewalkpod.com. You can find all of our latest merch drops there, guys. Grab a hat, grab a T-shirt, and let us know what you think. You can find our podcast on there as well. Leave us reviews. Bottom of the page, sign up for our email list. We keep you up to date on there with the latest podcast releases, the latest merch releases. So anything you guys need, check it out. We'd love to hear from you as well. So please interact with us. Let us know what you think. That's it for this week, guys. Until next week, carry your clubs and enjoy the walk.
Yes, sir.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.